Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Knights of the Alternate Histories, and in today's video, what if D-Day failed? And I originally didn't want to do this topic, but the more I looked into it, the more I realized how different the world would be, and how different my scenario was from the others. So, I hope you guys do enjoy it. Make sure to like and subscribe, but mainly join the Discord, because once this video launches, we're going to have a flag contest, so make sure and join the Discord if you think that would be rad to design a flag. Well, the year is 1944, 6th of June 5th. The Soviets are all on their own, except for small batches of troops in Italy. But after years and years of planning, the Allies are finally ready to make their strikes. The Germans have been holding off, trying to defend the Western Front, which is why they cannot use their full force against the Soviets and truly claim victory. But what would happen? The D-Day landings would go ahead, but what would be different this time? I don't know. How about his bodyguards actually wake him up in the middle of an Allied invasion, and oh wow, Rommel gets to move his panzers, and the troops are absolutely obliterated. Maybe a few beachheads would be established, but then they would quickly get pushed back into the sea by the panzers, which were in position, but couldn't move them without direct order from Hitler, so hey, look at that, it failed. With that, the Soviets during these next 6 months would be like, oh no, this is bad, this is probably gonna fail entirely, and would just push, thinking, we've already have the Germans on the ropes, but now we can finally actually take them down and push through and try and destroy them. And the Germans, seeing the power of tanks versus ground infantry, could move some more divisions to support these flanks. Meanwhile, knowing what the Germans know and not having to deal with forces in northern France, panzers would just easily crush the invasion of Genoa and would start hurting Italy more and more. And overall, the Americans would just be lost for words. I mean, think about it. This was supposed to be the #1 successful plan. And 2 invasions failed, what's even the point anymore? You just have half of Italy. But the Soviets would keep on pushing, taking out Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia with only a few remnants of German troops there, and almost completely destroying Romania, Slovakia, and Hungary. The Polish control would absolutely be destroyed, but the Germans, now knowing the power of their tanks, would just kick it into buttload their industry. Even though they were already hurting and they were low on oil, every time they shoot down an American ship, they have more oil in them, which would allow the Soviets' advance would start increasing more and more, I'll give them that. But it would still delay them enough for our timeline, and the Allies would keep on trying to invade, and keep on trying to just stop the commies from being able to draw all over the map of Europe. They would also do this by starting to invade Crete and other islands around Greece to try and maybe save Greece, as the Germans wouldn't focus on those small islands. And soon they would completely take Poland, Romania, Slovakia, and the Balkans, and they would be right outside of Berlin's doors. This would be really scary for the Germans, who would start questioning Hitler's leadership, and the Allies could start pushing a little Italy, but not that much, and the Soviets would start making plans for a communist France, a communist Germany, a communist everything, and the Allies would start to get really worried. This would also buy time, because the Soviets don't have to worry about diplomatic pressure, to start locking up and killing Poles and making them more Russian. And the Poles could do nothing about it, as the Poles who went back to fight on the Eastern Front would just end up back in concentration camps or gulags, and the Soviets would be proud of this. Silly Pole, we have captured you. You can't do this, I'm a new art style. Silly Pole, I am new art style too. Anyways, Berlin would start having its battle, and with all German allies now completely destroyed, Germany would start looking a lot more alone. But they would also get the refugee divisions, knowing, hey, the Soviets now are just gonna do whatever they want, and we can't allow that. And they would start talking more and more with allies, who get increasingly worried that they can't make a successful invasion. And Berlin would fall with Rome, and all of the troops from the Balkans would be pulled out to try and do one last defense, kind of a kamikaze style, on the German homeland, thinking that we can do it, we can make good. But one thing is different about this. But the Allies are getting more and more worried about Germans losing this war and the Soviets just controlling everything except for southern Italy. I mentioned something would be different. What would be different is Hitler would flee to Paris, as it wouldn't be destroyed, and sure, it has a couple of resistant fighters, but to have the heart of the homeland there, Hitler could basically say, "Look, I'm the new Charlemagne, I'm trying to fight against communists, please keep it down." And he would do this. This was actually a plan, if they couldn't have escaped to Bavaria, was go to Paris. And the Soviets would start creeping into northern Italy too, and the Allies would get worried that they wouldn't tell the difference between Germans or Americans or British. But since Hitler didn't escape to Bavaria like the plan was to, and instead to escape to Paris, which was another great war capital, this would be low-hitting morale for the German army, and they would start to question his leadership, as he says, "We can still fight on, the Soviets are overbearing themselves, we can take them." And the Soviets basically would declare a DMZ zone around Italy, saying, "Hey, it's okay, we won't shoot you unless you pass this line, then we will shoot you." And the Allies would just be scared to death, and knowing that the Soviets could do this, and not having the full back of Germans, and not wanting to get into a three-way civil war, would just accept it, and the Americans would start fearing that a communist rebellion would soon take place. And soon, Switzerland would start to get engulfed, and now the Allies really would be worrying, and Germany only had the Rhine River left to defend, and Hitler was saying, push past it, push past it." But after these German soldiers seeing more and more of their men die off, this would scare them to death. They would be like, can we not do this? And Hitler would keep on ordering these bonsai almost charges, trying to retake Soviet territory. "Nein, you can't do this to me, I'm the Führer." "Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Führer, but I have a really bad German accent. And, well, you keep on ordering us into suicide charges, and you have no military experience at all, and we're in a really bad military situation. You can't do this to me! How dare you, bang!" Yep, the Hitler's own guards and army would turn on him and shoot him and try and make a new Führer. But who could they get? Well, there was a certain general holding on the Rhine River who stopped the Allied invasion quite significantly, and quite proudly too. And they would start looking at him more and more to be considered this. And with the Soviets almost taking over all of Germany and him being the only one to stand, this would look more and more repellable, and more like a good situation. I'm of course talking about Ernst Rommel, who was, yes, a Nazi, but didn't want to kill everyone. He didn't want a genocide or anything. And in this timeline, he would have survived, because his death was caused because of an airplane attempt that almost killed him, and then Hitler finding out a plot to assassinate his life. But with Hitler being out of the picture, he would be perfect for the position. And being less extreme, he could negotiate. He would talk a deal with the Allies saying, "Hey, we surrender, well, not surrender entirely, but we'll give back the Allied territory as long as we stop the commies, because if a commie happens, we'll all get executed." And the Allies would love this. Quickly they would push into the DMZ and just start taking over communist land. And Stalin would be absolutely baffled by this, not expecting this at all. Another quick point of order. A lot of these Germans wouldn't go to war for war crimes, as the Nuremberg trials wouldn't exist without an Allied victory, and most of the concentration camps now being within Soviet territory, they could easily just blame it on the Soviets and be just as right, and the Soviets would be seen as the war criminals. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed that video. Yeah, new mic, new art style, soon to be new channel logo, so stay up to date on that. yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I made it in a rush, but I really love this. Like, because all the history videos I've seen were like, and the commies would repaint Europe and it would become a Cold War. But in actuality, it really wouldn't, because everyone just assumes that Hitler was already going to lose. But a major part of his loss was because of D-Day putting pressure on the Western Front. So, overall, I hope you enjoyed this video. I know I'm a little echoey because it's a late night recording and had to go into a closet that wasn't quite filled yet. So, yeah, have a good one, everyone, and see ya. Wow, what a great video. On the left, well, that's a video I think you should watch. And on the right, that's a video YouTube thinks you should watch. Click it. I don't care which one, just click one. Tim, I'm watching you not click one. Click one right now. Come off it.